All right, so today we're going to dive into a really fascinating 1982 sermon by Myung Moon. And it's all about one of the most basic human desires, right? The search for a place where we truly belong, a place we can call our original home. The sermon kicks right off with this question. I mean, talk about direct. Who are you and where are you going? It really cuts to the heart of our identity and our purpose, and it totally sets the stage for the whole spiritual journey we're about to unpack. So, let's get into it. So just to be super clear, our goal here isn't to take a stance, but to really unpack the ideas inside the specific sermon. We're going to look at its main arguments, the metaphors it uses, and what it ultimately says about humanity's purpose and our final destination. Okay, so the first part of this whole quest starts with a feeling that, honestly, I think a lot of us can relate to. It's that deep gut feeling, that need to understand where we come from. To find our roots. The sermon shares this really powerful story about a security guard. Now, his family had been American for generations, but he still felt this incredible, irresistible pull to go visit Ireland, where his ancestors were from. And this story perfectly illustrates a key idea, that this longing for an ancestral home, it's not weird. It's a totally universal and natural part of being human. And here's where the personal journey becomes, well, a theological one. The sermon suggests that the search for our earthly family tree is really just a shadow of a much deeper spiritual search. It's like the whole world is trying to get back to its ultimate root, back to its original ancestors, Adam and Eve, and ultimately back to God. So to explain this huge cosmic connection, the sermon uses this really powerful and central metaphor. It asks us to picture all of creation, the whole shebang, as one single enormous tree. Okay, let's break this down. In this analogy, God is the roots. You can't see them, but they're the source of all life and nourishment. All of us, all of humanity, we're the leaves. And the trunk connecting the roots to the leaves? The sermon calls this the true parents, a concept that represents a kind of restored Adam and Eve, acting as the main channel between God and humanity. And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly illustrates the sermon's main point about unity. It's not about the individual leaves, or the branches, or the roots by themselves. The real value, the true quality of life, is in how every single part is connected, working together in harmony. Now here's where it gets really interesting. What is the force, the energy, that holds this whole universal tree together? Well, the sermon says it's love, but not just any kind of love. It's a very specific concept it calls true love. The sermon makes a really sharp contrast here. On one side, you've got what it calls parasitic love. That's where a couple is totally self-contained, focused only on each other's happiness. But on the other side, you have true love. And this is different. It's not just about the couple. It's about that couple becoming a source of love for their community, for the world, acting like a channel for a much bigger love that helps everything around them grow. So this definition is absolutely crucial. True love is presented as the highest form of love there is, a bond so pure that God is just naturally drawn to it. It's described as something constant and unchanging, not like a fleeting emotion, and so powerful it can actually heal humanity's spiritual separation from God. So you might be asking, how do you even achieve this kind of love? Well, according to the sermon, it all starts with something called a straight conscience. And I want you to picture this. Think of it as a perfect internal alignment, like a perfect 90-degree angle. It's when your mind and your body, your spiritual goals and your physical actions are totally in sync. No conflict, no hypocrisy. That harmony is the foundation you need for this higher love to even be possible. Now let's see how this whole thing builds from a person's inner spiritual state into a mission that has global consequences. See, the sermon argues that this personal transformation isn't supposed to stay personal. It's meant to radiate outward, to affect everything. So the sermon lays out this very clear hierarchy of responsibility. It says that an ideal family has to love and sacrifice for its nation, and that ideal nation, in turn, has to sacrifice for the good of the entire world. The world serves the spirit world, and ultimately everything, all of creation, exists to serve and connect with God. It's a series of expanding circles of love. The basic principle here is really simple. The part always has to serve the whole. A family finds its true purpose not by just looking inward, but by contributing to the nation. And a nation finds its true purpose by serving the world. It's a vision of ever-expanding love and service.
And all of this, the search for our origin, the practice of true love, the mission of sacrifice, it all leads to one final destination on this spiritual journey.
And here it is, the original Fatherland. This is the goal. It's described as the restored ideal world. It's a state of being and a place here on Earth where humanity is finally reunited with God, where love is pure and original, and where all the man-made walls that divide us, race, nationality, culture, they just dissolve. So, let's tie this all together. What are the big takeaways? Well, first, that our very personal search for a home is actually a reflection of a huge, universal spiritual quest for God. Second, the way to get there is through a specific kind of selfless, outward-flowing true love. Third, the path requires that love to grow in ever-widening circles of sacrifice, from your family to the whole world. And finally, the ultimate goal is to restore what the sermon calls the original Fatherland, a world without division. The sermon ultimately concludes that every single one of us was born for true love. And that leaves us with a really big question to think about, right? If our entire purpose is tied to this specific world-changing vision of love, what does that mean for how we should live our lives, how we build our families, and how we relate to the world around us?